31st of August 1997, the Princess of Wales was killed in a car crash in Paris. Millions around the world watched televised images of the wreckage in horror. The world stopped, shocked by this tragic accident. Weeks later, the UK would come to a standstill as tens of thousands lined the streets of London to pay respects at the princess's funeral. The loss of one of the most well-known and high-profile members of the royal family sent shockwaves across the world, shaking Britain to the core. Was the crash simply a tragic accident, an unfortunate event, or something darker? Here, in the Dark Lounge, we discuss what might have happened. Diana Spencer was born in 1961 into British nobility and was the youngest daughter of John Spencer and Frances Shan Kidd. She grew up close to the royal family, living on their Sandringham estate, and became Lady Spencer after her father became 8th Earl Spencer. Diana stepped into the public gaze in 1981 upon her engagement to Prince Charles, the eldest son of Queen Elizabeth II. Their wedding took place at St Paul's Cathedral and was one of the most celebrated weddings in British history. The adoring public watched as Diana, Britain's new princess, became one of the most influential and idolised icons of the century. The royal couple went on to have 2 sons, Prince William and Harry. Although the fairy tale wedding seemed perfect, within 5 years the marriage was suffering. Obvious cracks were appearing, and apparent incompatibility between Diana and Charles began to show publicly. Speculation was rife of infidelity. Prince Charles involved with his former girlfriend Camilla Parker Bowles, and Princess Diana seeking refuge in the arms of other men who swore to protect her. Eventually, Diana admitted that by 1986 she had been deeply in love with someone who worked in this environment. It is thought she was referring to Barry Manaki, who was transferred away from her personal protection team to the Diplomatic Protection Squad in 1986 after his relationship with Diana had been deemed inappropriate by his seniors. With the stress of these events and pressure from the public and the press growing, the royal couple separated in December 1992. Prince Charles and Lady Diana divorced on the 28th of August 1996. A public blow for the seemingly impeccable royal family. The press around the world had spotted a fascination for Diana and in her new-found love affairs. Privacy was no longer an option, as Diana and the men in her life sold papers. Dodi Al Fayed was the son of billionaire Mohammed Al Fayed, the former owner of Harrods department store and the Hotel Ritz Paris. Known as an international playboy with an eye for the ladies, Al Fayed became romantically involved with Diana in July 1997. They moved in the same social circles in London. But it wasn't until Dodi's father invited Diana on a luxury holiday in June 1997 that they grew closer still. Diana and Al Fayed were a media sensation and were often forced to hide or flee from the harassment of the paparazzi. Constantly photographed, the new couple found it a struggle to simply eat in restaurants. Informants tipping off the press lay around every corner. The hounding of the media was relentless, a burden which Diana publicly carried, and some would argue were encouraged to raise her profile. Lady Diana was now a celebrity in her own right. She no longer needed the royal family and did not have to abide by the rules set out by the monarchy. She could have fun when she wanted and with whomever she decided to be with. Diana and Alfayed had landed in Paris following their vacation in Sardinia. The plan was to stop off in Paris before heading back to London. On the evening of the 30th of August 1997, Diana and Alfayed had eaten in their room at the Hotel Paris Ritz to avoid the eyes of the invading paparazzi. Soon after, they decided to return to Alfayed's apartment. Exiting via a back entrance, they left the Ritz at 12:30 p.m. in a black Mercedes S280 limousine, with Deputy Head of Hotel Security Henri Paul as the driver. The Mercedes and high-profile couple was soon spotted by the paparazzi. With Trevor Rees-Jones, Diana's bodyguard, in the passenger seat and Henri Paul driving, the couple sat back as the car sped through the capital. Whilst pursued by photographers on motorbikes, in an attempt to flee, the car crashed into a concrete pillar at speed in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. The car was destroyed on impact, with Alfayed and Paul pronounced dead at the scene, but Diana, seriously injured but said to be alive, was transported to the La Pitié-Salpêtrière hospital. In the early hours of August the 31st, Lady Diana, Queen of Hearts, was pronounced dead. Diana's bodyguard, Rees-Jones, was the only survivor. Measurements taken at the scene suggest the car was travelling at more than twice the speed limit for that area, at nearly 63 miles per hour. Witnesses said Paul drank 1 lager and 1 scotch before driving the couple, and was also taking the antidepressant fluoxetine, also known as Prozac. His family said he didn't drink on a regular basis, but his blood, taken at the scene, showed him to be double the legal limit for driving. Why was there white paint from another car found on the Mercedes? Why did they take Princess Diana to a hospital 30 minutes away? Why did only Trevor Rees-Jones have his seatbelt on? Why was Diana's body embalmed so quickly after her death, preventing a more in-depth autopsy? Why did Diana, mother to the future king, not have her own trained security team? Alfayed's father believed that Diana and his son were the victim of a murder orchestrated by Prince Philip and MI6. Alfayed's father alleged that the couple were purposely killed in an attempt to cover up the fact that Diana was pregnant with Alfayed's child. He claimed that the royals could not accept that an Egyptian Muslim could eventually be the stepfather of the future King of England. It's true, Diana was a free spirit, challenging the norms of society and the traditions of the royal family. Her actions were unpredictable, and she was unafraid to publicly voice her opinion. She spoke openly and candidly about her marriage to Charles and other relationships with an honesty which was frowned upon by the royal family. Diana's butler, Paul Burrell, later told the press that Diana had passed him a note saying, "Someone is planning an accident in my car, brake failure and serious head injury in order to make the path clear for Charles to marry." Diana had believed that one of her bodyguards and suggested lover, Barry Manicky, had been purposely killed. Was this just the writings of a paranoid woman under huge stressful conditions, alone in a life that was constantly monitored? Or could certain secret services, under orders to protect the monarchy, really put into motion such a plan? If they did, how could they hope to get away with it? If Diana was murdered, how which had been orchestrated to look like a car accident. It has been said that Henri Paul had accelerated into the tunnel to escape the following paparazzi chasing the vehicle on motorbikes. Behind the motorbikes, some reports state that a white Fiat Uno was seen also following the Mercedes. Could the Fiat Uno have pulled alongside, distracting Paul and even hitting the Mercedes before pulling away? Did one of the motorbikes following behind pull up beside Diana's car with a pillion rider? In the pillion rider's hand was a strobe light. The strobe light was small, but powerful enough to blind Paul, causing him to lose control as he entered the tunnel. All CCTV cameras in the tunnel were either facing at an angle that didn't capture the crash, or turned off. It was alleged that a French photojournalist, Mr. James Danson, was the driver of the Fiat Uno and an agent of the security services. Danson committed suicide in May 2000, and shortly afterwards, the photographic offices he shared in Paris were burgled. The British police force started an investigation into Diana's death, codename Operation Paget. The report cost $12.5 million, involved interviewing more than 300 people, and took more than 3 years to finalise. The official report concluded that Diana's death was an unfortunate accident. We can conclude that a mixture of alcohol in Paul's system, over excessive speed, and the abrupt angle of the incline into the tunnel caused a loss of control. Autopsy results post-crash state that there were no signs of pregnancy. However, other reports explain that her condition after the crash would have made it impossible to test for pregnancy. There is no evidence that James Danson was an agent of any security service or owned a white Fiat Uno at the time of the accident. On the 6th of September, Diana's funeral took place. It was broadcast to millions around the world, with a generation watching the two princes walk silently and with dignity behind her coffin. Great Britain went into a state of mourning for months after. Still, to this day, on the anniversary of Diana's death, people leave flowers and bouquets outside the gates of Kensington Palace and the Parisian tunnel where she met her untimely death. Her charitable work inspired a global movement. Her legacy continues to impact positively on the lives of millions around the world. Her death, still a mystery.